Hey there, my fellow artists. Today, this is a different video, as always. I feel like every time I make a video, I say, this is a different video. I mean, obviously it's a different video, but anyway. This is a video in which we're going to talk about some tips that I have for you if you're a kind of a beginner artist, just some tips I have for you on how to actually go about selling your art. Now, this applies whether you want to sell your art like online or in person, doesn't matter. I'm going to cover quite a few very, very helpful tips that's hopefully going to help you get started with actually selling some of your work. So the first tip I have for especially beginners, especially beginning artists, you need to know when it's time to start selling your work. All right, I know it sounds like, what do you mean? How do I know? I know because I know, but because listen, when you start as a beginner artist, you need to take time, okay? It takes time to develop your skills, develop your technique, your abilities, all that. And aside from that, it takes you a while to build up like a viable collection, right? Like this collection I've got on the wall behind me, right? Of course, you can always like start out if you're gonna sell like online, just start like with one painting to start or something. I mean, that is fine, but you should also know when you feel willing and ready to let pieces go. Because as artists, we tend to feel very strongly about our own work. Maybe you don't, maybe that's just me, but I think that's a common thing with a lot of artists, is that we tend to feel very strongly or get kind of attached, like we form a bond with like each of our paintings, because it is something that you should feel like really connected to, right? You take so much time and effort to make each one of your paintings, and you should feel like, oh, I really like this one. I don't know if I want to give it up. Like, that's the way you should feel, especially as a beginner, and that's okay. However, if you want to be able to start selling your art, there will come a point, and it's this is just something that I heard from someone who had a lot more experience as an artist when I first started when I was first started selling my own artwork. She had told me that there is a point, you will know when that point is, that you are ready to start letting pieces go. It's going to look different for everybody. There's going to be, for some people, it may be like your first 2 or 3, you're like, okay, yeah, I like these, but I can let them go. For someone else, it might be like you take time to make like 20 to 50 paintings before you're like, I don't know if I'm really ready to part with these yet. And that's okay too. So it's going to look a lot different for everybody. And again, I keep saying it, but that is okay. It's a very unique experience, and you don't want to feel like you're being pressured to start selling art if you're not personally ready, because just speaking from experience, that's kind of what happened to me when I first started selling art. I feel like I started a little bit too early. Granted, I was like 18 or 19 at the time, so yeah, that was kind of early, but I felt kind of more pressured by like other people I knew, like family members and stuff, telling me, your work is so good, you need to sell your art, like you could really make a living at this. So I don't want you to feel like pressured, like to think, I need to start selling my art right. If you're not ready, that's okay. You take as much time as you need to get your collection built up and to start feeling like, okay, it's okay for me to let these pieces go. Because when I first started selling art, I don't know that I was completely ready to start parting with pieces, because I was like, my whole point of why I started painting was because I wanted pretty things to hang on my wall. Like, that's honestly why I started painting, and to immediately be like, oh, you can't put those on your wall, you need to sell them to somebody first. You know, we still need to have some pieces that we keep for ourselves that are really, really special. So choose a couple of your pieces, especially your first couple of pieces, that are going to be just for you. You're like, I'm not going to sell these. I still have a couple that, I never sold them because even though everybody was telling me to, I said, no, these are mine. Hands off. Hands off. What's up? But you will know when you feel ready to start letting pieces go, and that's going to be the point where it's, okay, now you can start selling your art, right? My second tip to you is that you need to find an outlet for your art. Because it's not really viable just to like ask your family and friends on Facebook, hey, do you want this painting? I'm selling it for like $120, Like, that's just not, I mean, you can if you want to, but if you want to make like a viable living off of your art and you really do want to sell to like people you don't know, then you need to find somewhere that will be your outlet for your art. And this is where, again, it doesn't matter if it's in person, online, or combination of both. You need to find somewhere that is going to be a place where you can bring your art, show it, and sell it. I mean, that's as simple as it gets. But there are a lot of different places, which is why I'm also going to be hint making a couple of extra videos on in-person selling, how you can go about finding places to sell in person, and how to go about, finding and actually go about selling artwork online. However, between the two, I do recommend that you at least sell some art online. In person is kind of not as popular these days, I think. Doing a combination of both, right? That's probably the best way, but if you gotta pick one or the other, I would start with doing things online, because that way you'll reach a lot broader of an audience. Which brings us to tip number 3 that I have for you, is don't expect a lot of money, right? Mr. Krabs reference, anybody? Anyway. But really, don't expect to be like raking in the dough, especially right away. It's gonna take you quite a while to build up to even like make somewhat of a living off of your artwork. So of course it depends, definitely varies person by person. But I would say like for most people, don't, especially when you go to sell online, don't expect to make your first sale within, I would even say, the first 6 months. Like, I would say that, because I know some people that they try to sell their artwork online and they don't make a sale for like the first 2 years or more, right? I've seen some people who go to sell in person and then they do really great and they make a lot of sales in person, and then they think, oh, well, I'm going to try to do this online now too, because I'll make twice as many sales with a worldwide audience, and then they don't really sell anything online either. So it is very personal. But I just don't want you to set your expectations so high, because you don't want to, you don't want to feel, for one, I don't want you to feel disappointed, because it is very achievable to sell your art and to actually sell your art, whether it's in person or online. It's actually very achievable. It's just that it might take a while to build up to that. So I don't want you to feel like disappointed if you don't make a sale within like the first 6 months or the first year, whatever. You just have to be really patient with it, and you have to keep working at it, okay? Which is why, again, I'm gonna make second videos for selling in person and online with extra tips to help you actually physically sell your artwork items. But like, I'll tell you guys, I've been selling artwork for like 8 years or so right now. And at first, I want to say that I sold my first art piece when I started listing things online. I want to say it was maybe within the first 3 months, which is kind of unusually fast. At least talking to other people, I feel like that's really fast. But then after that first sale in those first 3 months, I don't think after that I didn't really have another one for like another 6 months or so. But I will say, and I've seen this with other people too, once you start to get the ball rolling, it's like a snowball effect, right? It'll start to pile up, and your orders, if you do things online or if you sell in person, your purchases and your selling is really, it picks up over time. Okay, so don't be disappointed. Give yourself plenty of time. It can take months to even a year to make that first sale, but once you get that first one, it's going to make a snowball effect and you're going to be on your way. All right, my next tip is actually very simple, but it is something that I sometimes even forget to do myself. Make sure that with each of your artwork pieces that you do plan to sell, that you label and sign them, okay? Make sure that you sign them on the front and or on the back, because that's something that buyers really look for in any piece of artwork, is an artist's signature, whether you're well-known or not. They want to have that signature in case you do become a very well-known artist and your artwork accumulates wealth over time. So learn how you want to make your artist signature, and from, the first piece you do, try to make your signature the same with every single piece you do, so that people recognize that that's, your signature, and they're going to recognize you each and every time. And then along with that, you'll also want to label your pieces on the back. I'll show you with some of mine that I've done. Typically, I like to put the title of my painting, which you don't have to title your paintings, but I think it adds like a really, really nice touch. And it kind of like starts to tell like the story of your painting too. And then I also like to write down like the medium I use, like I'll write acrylic on canvas, and then I'll write just the year, not the full date. You can write the full date, but also the date that it was made. And then I also like to put my full name on it as well, just in case somebody doesn't recognize like my signature or something, they don't know that that's me. Sometimes if you take your artwork to like a gallery or an art show, if there's a curator or something, they might write something on the back as well, or leave like little notes on the back of your canvas. Some buyers really, really like seeing that because it kind of tells the story of where the painting's been. My next tip for you guys is it really, really helps to kind of understand your customer base and your audience, which it's tricky for us to understand as artists because we're like, it's a piece of art. Everybody should like it. Everybody should get it. But that's not always the case, right? It's like people who write books. I also write books. I write fiction books. And I had to learn over time. Not everybody is into this very specific genre. Like say it's historical fiction set in precisely 1820. In pre-Civil War era America. It's not like, not everybody is going to be into that. It's the same thing with artwork, right? Like I do a lot of, like here on the wall, I've got a lot of my classic / old Hollywood portrait paintings of like leading ladies from like the 1950s and stuff. Again, historical there. I didn't mean to make that connection to the other reference, but you know, it's something that like not everybody is going to be interested in that. Like, for example, I know my own dad is not interested in those paintings at all. It's just, it is what it is. It's not his thing. But I know other people that are really into older movies like I am really appreciate those. There might be like other pieces of artwork. It really just depends on what artwork you make, like abstract work. Some people don't care for abstract work. I'm sorry. But it's the truth. Some people go crazy over it. It's just different people have different tastes, right? And if you're doing like, for example, I've done some paintings like of beach scenes and sunsets and stuff. Those go over really well with people who have lake houses. I live in an area where there's a lot of lakes. A lot of people have their regular house and then they have a cottage or a house on the lake. And they want artwork for their lake house. So those paintings do really well with those types of people. So it's just thinking about the type of artwork you make and that you want to sell. And then just kind of start to understand who your audience might be. Because that's going to help you later on if you ever want to do like marketing or like advertise. If you want to advertise your stuff, it's just going to start to help you get into the right direction. And again, don't expect everybody to just fall over in love with your paintings because there are certain things that some people, it's just not their taste. And also along with that, with like the advertising and stuff, we'll talk about that probably in a future video sometime. I'm going to be making a business plan for artists, just FYI, a little bit of a heads up. I'm going to be making that in the future, so I will link that in this video once I do get that done. So just making like a business plan and stuff, that's just an added tip for you. Understanding your customers and your audience is one part of making a business plan, no matter who you are, artist or not. But as an artist, it does help for us to know who our customers are actually going to be, who is going to eventually want to buy your artwork. Now my last tip, just for today, a little bit on the talk of pre-made art versus custom order art, because they are two different things, and I've heard different things from different artists over the years. Some people have really strong opinions over whether we should always be making pre-made art, like, you know, art that's already made to sell, or if you should accept custom orders or not. And again, this can kind of be like part of your like business plan as an artist. Do you want to accept custom orders or not? Do you want to do pre-made art or not? Pretty much a lot of people, almost every artist is going to want to do pre-made art. Those are the pieces that, you know, you paint them yourself. Like you pick what it's going to be and you just paint it and then it's there to sell, right? Already pre-made, ready to go. But do you or do you not want to accept custom orders? Because that is going to, you know, again, affect your audience, because some people are looking for an artist who will, you know, either paint like a portrait of this, like a portrait of their family, a portrait of their kids, a portrait of their pets, or maybe even like recreate a photo that they took like on a vacation in paint. Like, are you willing to do that as an artist? or not. Just think of that as part of your like little business plan, right? I won't try to pressure you one way or the other, but I will say that if you are open to accepting custom orders, I think it will really expand your customer base and eventually lead to you making a couple more sales, making a little bit of extra money as an artist. So I do kind of recommend if you are willing to do the custom orders thing. But if you're very, very beginner and you're not, you know, if you don't have a ton of experience working off of a lot of different photos and stuff, maybe try to take some time to do practice working off of different reference photos and stuff before you do accept orders like that. But again, it's totally up to you whether you want to just sell your own artwork or if you're open to accepting custom orders or not. So these are all of the tips I have for you guys today. Like I said, there are going to be additional videos. Make sure you check those out. I'll probably link those as well. As to how you can actually go about selling your art in person and also how you can go about selling your art online. Because while they are similar, they do have there's a lot of different strategies that we can take doing that. So I really, really hope this video helped you today. And again, a lot more videos on this topic and like resources and stuff are going to be coming soon. So be on the lookout for those. And happy painting and maybe happy selling, my fellow artists.